welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Merto Redux is finally out for the Windows heathens. Team Meat releases a brand new game that looks awfully familiar, and IO Quake 3 goes full metal STL2.
You never go bass to mouth. Vertigo Games introduces us to a world of diving. The beta Dwarfs are finally out of their parents' basement and gearing up for Force 2. And did you hear about the Morrowind open art replacement project? No? Well, this is the last you'll be hearing about it anyways, so...
Continuing with the Metro news, Ol's Shish Kebab says Linux users will need OpenGL 4. Strife goes into open beta. Now you too can have a chance trying to be the best at a MOBA. And finally, GOG.com gets a new look and movies?
Those confused, twisted, horrible voices you just heard were Master Huang. Hello.
Oh god, it's so twisted and horrible.
And
just
the
like my
giggling
testicles.
death himself, B-Man.
Mine are not twisted, they're comfy.
They are adorable, and together
Yes.
with Shadrealm watching us live, we form a bit of a cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, let's play that game and see what's going on in each other's life organs. Over here, I bought a Vantac DAC that has billions of things that apparently I don't understand how to use yet or not properly supported with Pulse Audio. We're still sorting that, so go on that. Hold off on buying anything resembling that until later. You went to the conferencey con thingy, didn't you?
Yeah, so I went to Fan Expo.
All right.
Tried to get Michael Rooker to show up on the podcast, but the line to talk to him was like an hour and a half wait. So I said, fuck that. I don't care about this podcast enough to wait an hour in line for it. And yeah, what about you, Pedro?
I love Corora.
That's fascinating.
I do.
Moving on.
But after spending a week trying to get Mesa 10.4 with the Direct3D 9 API going on Corora, I could not get it to work. And it irked me because I could get it to work in Ubuntu after like 5 minutes. That and KDE5, Plasma 2, Manchester United 3, it actually works on Ubuntu.
That sounds brilliant. Maybe you should make a website of it? No. What do you think?
I think that's a terrible idea. But like most terrible ideas, you can follow through with it by going to HostGator.com, talking to Schnappy, the friendly crocodile who may have just done a ton of cocaine because he's wearing sunglasses.
He took them off last week.
He did, but then if you give your business to Schnappy, what do you get?
Well, if you give that business to Schnappy, check them out. Unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, easy one-click control panel, and they're not kidding about that. It's brilliant. 100 wet, stinky Google AdWords offer. 99.9% uptime, and you can get all that business starting right in your face organ for $3.96 a month, and that's my final offer.
Bullshit!
Lies.
Enter the offer code
Harsh.
LinuxGameCast FTW and get 25% off all that nonsense. Look at it. You're gonna have a seizure right now. When you're done choking on your tongue, you should go to HostGator.com and sign up for some web hosting.
Sounds like a plan, man.
But you know what? I don't see the horse.
Well, I thought the horse was definitely coming out this week.
No. Oh wait, no. Seems to be stuck in the Verizon pipes. It's our Steam
Linux
update
of the week.
Oh, there it goes.
ZOMG.
So where is Linux?
War Linux. So, you may have heard about this. There's these guys you might have heard of, Deep Silver. They released a game you may not have heard of called Metro Last Light on the Linuxes. And a couple months ago, they said, hey, we're just going to completely scrap everything and redo everything from the ground up. And it's available end of summer, available for Windows and Linux. And hell, to make it even sweeter, if you own Metro 2033 or Last Light, we'll cut you a discount so that you can buy the new games.
Well, I guess what we got to say about this.
Lots of people did. But unless you paid attention to their pre-order page in the middle of July, you were wrong!
Well, they mentioned it. Well, clearly, way down here at the bottom. And, you know, honestly, I didn't pay attention. I was like, oh, Metro last night, and I was like, I'll believe it when I can see it. But they did say dedicated Linux and SteamOS versions will also be available later this year. Fair enough. Didn't know about that because my first boom, it hit me when it showed up all over on the Steams. I was like, oh, and it had the Linux icon and the Windows icon and no information about it being, you know, after the Windows version. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I trust these guys. I absolutely trust these guys. So I went ahead and pre-purchased it, and this week, it was like, Metro Redux is out, and I was like, yes, I rushed home, and it's like, what? Windows only? But I've kind of graduated through steps of, like, the hell, man? Okay, I get it. You know, we'll talk about some stuff they're doing later on. But I think this is more like a public service announcement. It's just for PR handling. There was nothing on that page, on the Steam page, that said, hey, you're going to wait. I would have still bought it anyway. These guys are awesome. We love them. But, yeah, it did, you know, for a couple of minutes there. I was like, you mother, what the hell, man?
You know, I still say that's a fairly significant dick move, all things considered. I mean, yeah, they're gonna follow through with it. We'll get to some of the cool shit they're actually doing with the port, but at the same time, they didn't tell people, and I mean, it deserves a reaction. You can't go around it doing stuff like that. I don't care if it's Deep Silver. I don't care if it's Valve themselves. If you're gonna advertise what appears to be same day launch, you should honor that. And if otherwise, you should make it clear on the page where people go to buy things. It is unreasonable to expect people to check your official website when your official purchase page does not contain that information. It's entirely unreasonable. Deep Silver, I love you. Keep doing your good shit. Just don't do this. It's not cool. It is irresponsible, and it's lying to your customers. It is.
It is a pretty dick move. And at first I was like, well, then what's the point of having the Linux icon in the pre-order page, making it look like it would be out on the exact same day if you're just not going to do it? Why? But hey, it's Deep Silver, and if everything goes according to plan, which according to an interview, Ols Shishkovstov, yeah, that's his name. according to an interview he gave to Digital Foundry, you can find the link in the show notes as a tradition. And yes, they have been updating the Steam depots for the Linux version, but the interview that he gave, Digital Foundry asked them, any thoughts on Steam OS? You have less light on Linux now, running an older OpenGL, but I understand you have a more advanced version that works. To which he replies, yes, the original Metro Last Light Linux port was based on OpenGL 3.2. It was stable, but it did not support high-end features. For Redux, we're essentially replicating the DirectX 11 version with almost one-to-one correspondence in features. The downside to that approach, the GPU should be at least OpenGL 4 core profile compatible.
No, I'll tell you something that actually, no. This
card,
actually
at least
broke my
the last
heart. I
5
was talking to
years.
P-Man last night, and I was like, is your calculator OpenGL 4 compatible? And he said, yes. I was like, damn it.
Yep. OpenGL 4.3, and it's a 5-year-old laptop graphics.
Yeah, so I mean that's not so much a barrier for entry, I would say. But this is kind of cool. The Distance guys released this little Vine. Is this from PAX? Yeah, it's from PAX, and it's a Distance arcade racing cabinet, which is pretty neat. It actually inspired the conversation a bit earlier before the show. What would the interior of like one of these cars from Distance actually look like? Would it even have a steering wheel? Because I don't think that would quite work.
It would just be a blob of goo, but we know that's not the case. Unless this is a moddable game, people. Come on, work on it. I want them to bleed.
You can do it.
Just have like red leaking from behind your car. No, even when you're trying to beat your own time, like there's like ghost blood coming out of the ghost car in front of you.
So that's just a fun little piece of eye candy.
The arcade machine they're building up for PAX, and that they've built for PAX, and apparently it's one of the highest, for the donors of their Kickstarter, the highest I think it was the $5,000 tier. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it was the $5,000 tier that got the. If you backed it at that tier, you'd get an arcade machine, and there you have it. That's probably what it's gonna look like.
It also looks like it will give people epileptic fits.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Totally support
So
that
so
business.
Ben instantly loves it.
Check this out. SteamOS update, right?
Yeah, so nothing really remarkable about that. We talked about the Intel VAA API VAPI thing for Intel hardware acceleration for videos. So they're including this in the CMOS update 133. And the rest of it is really just a bunch of security patches, various CVEs for Kerberos, OpenSSL.
I think we got a new kernel, didn't
fresh
we?
libraries. Yeah, no, okay, yes. There's a new kernel but that just has updated drivers. Very, very humdrum, very run of the mill. We're just mentioning it for austerity's sake. But things are about to get a little heavy, don't you think?
Oh man, this.
A little bit heavy. So, according to Comcast, Steam is either a virus or too heavy for the network to.
Well, have you seen the horse lately?
handle.
It's sort of been packing on the pounds.
Yeah,
It literally got clogged in the tube. We had to get a plunger in there and.
Well, I mean, before we
This
even
is
get
the
started
story.
on this, I think it's
Oh, go
brilliant to know that, Comcast is an American company that is world known, not for good things,
Not at all.
even in space.
So a Comcast
My-
subscriber.
Let him talk.
I do have to add aside, mind you, the worst ISP in the world is still rated as Rogers, a Canadian company.
Good
Oh,
times. But yeah, a Comcast subscriber had to phone up a representative because whenever he started downloading a game on Steam, it would progressively go slower and slower and slower. So the Steam rep had, the Comcast rep had no idea what he was talking about, and he just said it's probably a virus or it's too heavy for the network to be able to handle it. Actually, there's actually a recording of the call in this article. So if you look at the show notes, it's on our, it'll be once the show is fully edited. You can
this
go
particular
there.
story
Just,
is from ours too.
yeah, it's from Ars Technica. You can see the latter part of the conversation, which includes the bit about it being a virus. So keep it in mind, Linux users. You may be spreading viruses to everyone else on the internet.
Well, you know this Linux is an illegal hacker operating system, and if you use
Yes,
AMD
created by
Linux.
Linus Torvald.
I remember
And if
getting my
you-
first
if you use
cable modem.
AMD
I had
processors, you do
to
realize that
install
it's
Windows on a
Russian clones of
VM so
America.
they would install the service. They would not
Yes.
install it unless it was Windows. So I had
You know, we have to deal with some badass internet in the Great Wide North, but at least we don't have to deal with Comcast.
brilliant.
But the most important thing you can take away from this podcast is never go bass to trout.
Really?
What are we talking
You
about?
never.
What are we
Never.
Never.
Trout.
Never go bass to trout. This is World of Diving on Steam, and it is an early access game. It's a diving simulator. You may have played in the arcade way back when, or even on something like the Wii. This one's special because it is claimed to be an Oculus optimized diving game. And that is the definition of a niche market. I mean, it kind of is weird for LinuxGameCast to be saying this, but if you're looking for diving sim enthusiasts who own an Oculus Rift, I think that numbers you can literally count that on one finger.
Yeah, that's a very narrow Venn diagram.
Right.
And insofar as it's literally a line, it is a one.
Yep.
But this is going to clock in at 19.9 wet sticky caches. And I mean, if you want to discover the deep blue sea and you have Ubuntu 10.10 or higher and a dual core with 2 gigajoules of RAM, I guess go for it. It has trading cards.
This is early access. It's early access.
And it is
And
a
they
Unity
say-
game, so
Yeah, and they say World of Diving might be in early access for a brief 6 months, but it could just as well take us a bit longer. So yeah, my money's on it's not going to be out of early access anytime soon, probably ever.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the concept of it. It makes sense. It's just you're not going to sell many copies of this game.
Yeah.
Hear it.
So we have an appointment with FEAR, and no, this is not being forced to watch the Spice Girls reunion, which hopefully will never happen.
First
But I
encounter
love
Assault
Meatloaf.
Recon.
What is it? You
The
never
old
heard of it?
FPS?
You, in all caps. Oh, Titan City's resident superhero in this interactive graphical novel. And solve clues to this graphical novel, so I'm guessing something's going to get shagged. It's 20%
It's a
off.
graphical novel.
$4.79 right
Of
now if
course
you
it
want to
is.
pick it up. That lasts until September the 2nd. I don't know. It's a new game. I don't do graphical novels, man. Does anybody?
Not particularly.
I mean, like, I get what they're going with here. It's supposed to look like a playable comic book. It makes sense for this type of game. That's how you would make a point-and-click visual novel type game for superheroes. It makes perfect sense. But I don't know if this one's really going to be a winner. It's $5, so I mean, if this is your thing, it has. It's
Yeah,
you
it
can check
has
out
full
on Big
controller
Picture
support.
Big picture.
for all 3 buttons you're going to use. Literally, you can play this game with an Atari controller. So,
Yeah.
Well,
so I think
before we wrap this up, I heard somebody gave the horse bottom a little bit of extra cocaine.
yeah, no, I guess we might as well cover this. So MSI recently came out and said their new gaming class motherboards are SteamOS compatible from Genesis. Now, I don't know what that actually means, all things considered. Because no matter what, like Ben was saying earlier, if you have a piece of hardware that doesn't run on Linux, it's probably a fairly obscure piece of hardware. But
Even
I mean,
then,
it would be kind of cool if MSI is contributing kernel patches for those prioritized network processing units that like attempt to lower game latency by identifying the game packets and giving them priority. That would actually be kind of neat. Ben was saying he'd like some actual sound drivers.
That would be brilliant.
yeah.
Nothing against them. Hopefully they'll get that sorted out. And before we wrap this segment up, I do want to thank somebody who sent us a few quid, didn't they?
Oh, they did, and we completely skipped over that. Who is that, Ben?
That's
You-
Rinse
tell us.
Turner in the chat realm through 40 Wet Stinky in our face organ. So he's going to get some of that sweet, loving node access and all that business. Thank you, sir. Dying of fire.
Well, it's time to cram the horse back in the pipe and send it back to Comcast. Hopefully they won't mistake it for a virus. Coming
Again.
up next, Gonads and Strife.
In glue.
Circumstantial circumcisions aside, let's get into some actual news. So, Ven, Edmund Macmillan is working on a new game.
It's the brand new sauce, man. I mean, we scroll down here. There
On
we
his
go.
Tumblr.
Super Meat Boy Forever fact sheet. It's a totally new touch-based super. It's going to be for tablets and a grind. Our goal is a full-length platform. Okay. So the first time, you see this, you go Control F, and no Linux. So,
Nope.
Eh.
it looks neat. It looks cartoony, and I guess maybe it'll be an app, or maybe we'll see a release. I don't know.
It is an app. They say it's a whole new game. It's not a port, but here it is. The knots. Super Meat Boy Forever is not a simple endless runner. Simple, which means it is an endless runner. So, Cannibals, anyone?
Actually, if you scroll up to the very top post, someone asks, "Will Super Meat Boy Forever be available on Windows phones or just iPhones and Androids?" He says all of everything ever, so it will be an Android game at least.
That's
but we're
one
not
of the
Android.
knots. That's one of the knots. The very last one, he says it is not exclusive to phones/touch screens. So maybe it'll get a Linux version, maybe not.
I don't know.
Kind
I
of
mean,
iffy.
It'll be on the X clones and all that in business, and maybe in 4 or 5 years we'll have a functional port, and everyone will go, yay.
Yeah, once Oculus gets around to fixing it.
Basically.
Yeah.
So,
Let's
It's a,
SDL to this shit.
Gonads and Strife.
Gonads and Strife.
Gonads and
if you're a
Strife.
kid and you ain't
Well,
got drugs yet.
In this case, it's not Gonads and Strife, it's just Strife, and it's the open beta, the 0.4.0 changelog. They
Don't
say,
you mean
welcome to the
it-
open beta. It's got a whole bunch of new features. If you like the MOBA genre, this looks pretty good. I'll give it that. I really tried to like it. I honestly did. But I just can't deal with MOBAs and the community of screechy 25-year-olds that are desperate to make it big in some game after getting their asses handed to them in LoL and Dota 2.
Well, it is an open beta. I downloaded it. I think we were in the early beta, but at that time it was
the early alpha, yeah.
alpha, and it was like
Yeah.
64-bit only. But now there's 32-bit and 64-bit. I installed the 64-bit version. It launched, did its thing, what it said on the tin, and then 2 seconds later, the thing in my brain organ said, "Finn, this is a MOBA," and I was like, "Oh, right, shit." I closed it. So,
But yeah, it works pretty well. I'll give him that.
you planning on playing with it, getting with that lovely
Oh,
community?
hell no.
Good enough. So
You know,
GOG got a new
well-
look.
They did. It looks all, responsive and whatnot.
It looks great, but that aside, they have new features, local currency option, new payment methods, store credit, and the updated look thing. Now, if I still give a damn about GOG at this point, these new currency options would worry me. It's like they're paving the road for $10 equals 10 euros. Like Steam does it.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a problem because regional pricing is a bitch. But hey, it's GOG.
Wait, I just realized something. They're stealing like the OS 10 color theme, aren't they, for their website?
Like I
Scroll
said,
up to their little
very
logo,
gray.
No, there's some purple there.
But here's the big announcement. Our long national nightmare is over. We can now buy movies, really game documentaries, from GOG, and
Oh right, the
No,
movies.
You can buy the Pirate Bay AFK, which you could have gotten off the Pirate Bay
For free.
Right.
can you
But
tell
yeah,
we're
they're
stretching for
selling-
news this week?
They're selling indie game the movie for $5 because absolutely
Oh,
no
wait,
one
no,
bought that humble bundle. No one at all.
TPB AFK is free. All right.
I-
They're not entirely.
I
They're
don't know.
entirely not entirely pants on head stupid. I'll
I
give
got
them that.
Two things to say about that with GOG. I mean, A, if you're going to release movies, I need to see a copy of Transsexual Lesbian Chainsaw Hookers from Mars on there. Well, get the fuck out.
Netflix doesn't have it.
Two, where's that client, bro? We need that client. Yellow Swag Dorito. I mean, we're done with having, oh, here's my games folder with crap. No. Steam, spoiled.
Yeah, Steam's kind of taken the market by force in that respect.
And I'm looking forward to You Hate Me, but it's DRM pre-nation. So there's a lot of other outlets, man. But,
So there's a lot of
organized.
games on Steam actually,
Yeah.
including the Half-Life series. So
Well, tell me about
Right.
this. I never heard of it.
all right, so our friends at RootGamer.com, Mr. Sandy Martin, Chadine, and that other guy whose name I don't remember. Love you too, by the way. They have an interview with the beta dwarf developers of Force 2. And if you want to go through and read this all, you can. The basic highlights include that levels for Force 2 will be randomly generated. Their primary target for Linux will be SteamOS. They're saying that's the main thing they're targeting. Everything else is ancillary. And their CEO finally moved out of his mom's basement. Good for him. Yay!
Wait, you're just making fun. It
Yeah.
doesn't actually say that.
No. Well, no, he actually does say that in the interview. He moved into it with his girlfriend, whatever, out of his
Yeah,
mom's
but
basement.
they were basically living in the office at that point. But
Yeah.
the thing I got from this interview was everything is random. Let's read. We couldn't be arsed with proper game mechanics. I do like the screenshot of the character selection screen and the increased number of characters or character variations it appears to have. I very much like that. But since it is a Unity game, or probably will be a Unity game, I have my money on controller support being completely busted from day one and remaining so for the
I'm
remainder
not
of
gonna.
days.
I'm not gonna bet against you for that. It's a Unity game. If
Yeah.
if they heeded our advice and used simple direct media layer 2, we may not see
Yep.
those issues.
Well, you got to
But
look at it
we'll see.
this way.
We'll
I
see if our
mean,
cries fall on deaf ears.
if the bottom line is, it's got to be better than forced. Huh?
But again, that's not very difficult.
Well,
All right. Speaking of
next-
SDL,
you know, it's someone
Speaking
did
of
hear our
SDL
cries. Though I'm not gonna go ahead and claim credit for that.
something that would have been fantastic news 7 years ago before it existed in the futures past. Anyway, IO Quake 3 updated to SDL2. Post, I don't know if you've been following GitHub, Twitter, Photoshop. It's all in there. All I'm going to say is IO Quake 3, it's brilliant. You can still play that game from like 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah,
Never really
play
had
some Urban Terror, man.
problem with that
Yeah.
business. Good. Has this work
Good, yeah.
been moved over
Like-
to IO Doom 3, possibly? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I want. IO Doom 3 has had busted control since I can remember. I mean, if you want to set the directional arrow keys on your keyboard to movement, you can't. Just get on with it, please.
Yeah, no, I mean when I read this news, it was basically the grumpy cat image. Good. That's really all you. That's really all you can say regarding this news. It's like, all right, that's about time.
Makes
Moving
perfect
on.
sense. Unlike this next project.
Okay, so our-
Word.
all right. Let me describe something to you, and then I'm gonna get your reactions, and then I'm going to finish my description. How about this?
Okay.
So, would you like to see all of the Morrowind
Take my
art
money.
assets replaced with high detail, high quality replacements that are Creative Commons licensed so that anyone can use them? How does that sound?
Yes.
Possibly. Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine none of these will actually work with Open Morrowind
But why would you do that, sir?
because these people are idiots. This is
Yeah.
I mean, so okay, to a degree, I understand the sort of sticky legal area they're in. This is the Morrowind original art or original asset replacement project. You can find this at inglip.org. All these links, of course, will be in our show notes. And basically, they say, where is this? I pulled out a bit from their description. We are not creating new meshes that can be used in Open Morrowind, Example Suite, or anywhere else, meaning that this art asset project will only be useful with people who are playing the original Morrowind on Windows. And as time goes on, very, very few people are going to actually be able to do that, because the support for Morrowind will go like the support for any other game that has ran on Windows in the past out the window. You got to play it on Linux under Wine if you want to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Or if you're feeling particularly crazy, install Sigwin and compile Wine on Sigwin. And
But here's the thing. If it's not going to be compatible with Open Morrowind, then what's the point?
there is none,
The
Pedro.
only thing I don't know. I can't even bullshit us out of this one. So let's close out the
This
news.
is pointlessness, the project.
Coming up next, we're going to stare at teenage girl butts and take pictures of things. Selfie!
Click.
And we're throwing chairs at Dreadout, the Indonesian horror game filled with butts by Digital Happiness. It's a Unity game. You can find it at dreadout.com, and you can pick it up on Steam for $14.99 wet stinky whatever particular denomination of money your country uses, because regional pricing is totally not a thing. So what is it? According to their marketing blurb, Dreadout is a third-person supernatural horror game where you play as Linda, a high school student trapped in an old abandoned town. Equipped us with her trusty smartphone, not running Android or iOS for that matter, she will battle her terrifying encounters and solve mysterious puzzles, which will ultimately determine her fate. And of course,
which is bullshit. Spoilers.
Shut up, Pedro. Shut up, Pedro. No one cares what you think. And of course, any game that crosses our paths must face the Chairquisition. 1 chair means that's shit. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that's pretty good. And 4 chairs means it makes Ven say, hey, and so on and so forth.
Category stuff.
And of course, we have our categories of Doom. What's going on, Ven?
Huh?
We got mixed with the working, shiny, and sounds, controls, and fun. So let's kick this underway before our WebRTC session dies. Ven, how did mix with the working happen?
Let's take a look. Mix with the working, and what is it trying to work on? Well, that would be our Ubuntu 1404 LTS Dual 770 octo-core system of minimumness. It's the least you should try to play any game on. Bare minimum. It ran. It launched. But it was completely unplayable. Without spoiling anything.
Yet.
That's all I can say about it. You can't give it 0 chairs. There's no Z. So, for Mix with the Working, we'll get into this. I'm just going to have to give it the 1 chair. But I will justify that score later.
Well, I got to enforce my new rule about screen resolutions. This is a Unity game. I had to edit prefs files to fix this resolution bullshit, so you automatically lose 2 chairs. And this thing, so I have 4 SSDs in this system. I should not have to wait for things to, load. This thing loads way slower than anything that's coming off of an SSD has any right to. This is obscene. That's not enough to knock it back down to 1 chair because the game actually works. Quote unquote works. So I'll give that 2 chairs. Pedro.
Yeah. If I were to compare the loading times of an old 386 booting up and the loading times in this game, I'd be comparing 2 things which have only a tangential correlation. But even if that wasn't the case, the 386 would boot a hell of a lot faster than this game loads. And running without the Steam overlay was the only way I can get decent enough frame rates. 2 chairs.
Oops.
All right, so that's 1 whole chair for Mix with the Working. Jeez, it's been a while since we've seen one of those. It's true. So next is Shiny and Sounds.
Shiny and Sounds. Let's take a look at the Shinies and the Sounds. We'll play a little bit of the trailer here to give you an idea what's going on. For a Unity game.
What's going on?
For a Unity game, it doesn't look half bad. I mean, it doesn't look great. You can tell a lot of love has went into the design of this, into the level design. Now, unfortunately, the animation rigging is laughable at best and creepy as fuck at worst. And man, do they really want to stylize that poor lass's arse. I mean...
Oh, way to steal my bit.
Oh, I didn't even read your bit. Maybe you got some extra stuff to say it. Sounds decent. They're actually directional, which really fucked with me because I was reworking the audio here this week, and I thought it was only coming through 1 channel, and I fortunately tapped the gerbil and it flipped around. I'll tell you more about that later. And it started coming out of my other ear organ. I was like, oh, all right. That's not bad. Kind of like the way it looks. Can't give this thing a hand job and say it's perfect because, it's rough around the edges. But you can just feel that love went into this. And that's a good thing. It's not your typical Unity shovelware. Now, the Linux port might be. But, at the end of the day, take that shot. We're going to give it 3 chairs.
So the first thing I noticed when starting this game after the audio gremlins for Unity games resolved themselves and I stopped getting static due to underruns from Pulse Audio. Very nice intro song. Reminds me a lot of Manos, The Hands of Fate. In fact, once the happy pop rock song was playing and I saw the bus, I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, Manos, The Hands of Fate. Because I watch way too much Mystery Science Theater. And like Vince said, I guess it isn't just me. They put a lot of work into this main character's ass. And I mean, like, my roommate described it very adequately as butt cam, because it's not really centered on over her shoulder. It's so that you get a clear view of her butt in the middle of the screen. And now, admittedly, for a rendered butt, it is a nice butt. It's just a bit odd, especially considering this is supposed to be some high school girl, and I feel like a perv. Also, I noticed quite a number of graphical glitches while playing the game. Concrete would be transparent, and you get this weird glassy water effect. If you actually take a screenshot through Steam, it doesn't show up, but if you take one through, say, XFCE or GIMP or some other external program, it will show up, and it just looks really, really weird. Like Ben said, there actually is a good amount of character design in there. The environments are very creepy looking, so that's effective. But I mean, there are some technical problems interfering. Oh yeah, and the bidirectional audio that was actually kind of cool. I wasn't expecting that, but it's like, oh, but when I heard like the creepy noise coming out of one ear, I'm like, oh, they actually took the time to do that. It's pretty neat. But all in all, glitch with the glitches and with some of the art choices, gotta give it 2 cheers.
Yeah, to grab on to some of your points, Jordan, the intro song sounded a lot like the credits song for Silent Hill 2, and the whole butt camera thing, there's a little extra detail which you guys
They call that the
probably
ass
didn't
cam.
notice. Yeah, you guys probably didn't notice this, but if you went to the car at the start of the game and used the car, pushed E or whatever button it is on the controller, she would change her outfit. Yes, it's quite literally Barbie doll the game. And
That didn't happen. Yeah, well, I'll get into that later, but go on.
yeah, if you go into the car and use the trunk area of the car, you can change your outfit. But yeah. Every single character, both the playable character and the NPCs, look like they were dropped face first onto the Uncanny Valley. During the intro sequence, I'm like, yeah, no. The ghost lady voice acting gets really annoying really fast. You're running around through the school, the darkened school at night, and she's constantly laughing, doing some sort of creepy, air quotes, noise. It's not very good. I did like the level design. The one level they have, that is, which is the school, so 2 chairs for me.
Alright, so that's 2 chairs for Shining Sounds. Controls, Ben.
Controls. Let's take a look at this. We got some issues. Now, the first thing you do, always keep the controller plugged in. You start up a game, it's going to reach over here and then poke at it. And I'm like, and it moved the minion. I was like, shall we be daring this evening? Well, I picked it up, put it in my hand organs, and was like, oh, menu, A buttons are showing, B buttons, all right. Using the X-Clone controller. Everything's fine. Get in the game, start the game, listen to all the creepy, bad animation rigging and all that, and I'm moving around. And it kind of get to the point, so it's like, oh, here, use your camera. I was like, well, that's not mapped to a mothering button. And it's like, problem. It's like, okay, we can solve this. So, closed it, unplugged, went to use the gerbil, busted. I mean, it's herk, jerk. I mean, if I had not played it with the controller first, I would have thought it was just that horribly unoptimized. But it turns out they're just using, I think, 4.5Z version of Unity, which 4.5.2 fixes the well-known and well-documented herky-jerky mouse polling issue. And when you boss something that seriously to where you can't really play it with a gerbil, or when you're using Xcloud, and there's no way to remap shit, so you're kind of fucked with that two ways. Kind of an unplayable game. But,
If you were to condense this entire rant into a series of lawn chairs.
2 chairs is what I'm going to have to give it, J-Man.
All right. Well, yeah, like Ben said, the mouse is way too sensitive. Once more, I had to take my Logitech G500 mouse and knock the physical sensitivity on this down all the way so that I could actually look around and see whatever the hell I was doing. One other gripe I have is you basically have to get around by running, because walking is just abysmally slow. You will literally spend the majority of the game just walking from point A to point B.
You can run.
I was saying running is the only way to get around, but they give you limited stamina, and I mean, your run speed is kind of shit too. Your run is more of a brisk walk than anything.
Yep.
Which kind of harms the whole survival horror mechanic nonsense. I'm not going to ramble on too much about it. Standard Unity fare, not much else to say. The control layout was sane for the most part. No real issues with that. I would have preferred a hotkey for like menu and journal and whatnot that was not escape. So for that, I'll give it 2 chairs.
Yeah, like you guys already mentioned, the mouse sensitivity and the mouse pulling speed were far too twitchy to be playable, though not as much as last week's game, Blinding Dark, if you may remember. It was almost
I'd rather not remember.
Yeah, I don't blame you. The running speed in a miniskirt is apparently somewhere between a steady-paced walk and the world's slowest jog. It's fucking annoying. 2 chairs.
Alright, so that's 2 chairs for control. And finally, our subjective category, fun. Then, what did you think?
Well, considering there's really no viable way to play this game, I did manage to get up through the point because I cheated a bit using the keyboard with the controller. I mean, that's really the only thing you can do is like, okay, I need the camera and that, and we'll move around. Then you get to the pig thing. And by the time I was at the pig thing, I looked and I was like, oh, look, something finally happened. What's this? And I was 40 minutes into the game. Now, with my busted setup, trying to use a controller plus the gerbil and the keyboard to use the camera to shrink, I was like, fuck this. Done with it. Write it off. But at least I got to that point, and the pig was comical and made me want some vegan bacon. So I'll give it 2 chairs. For fun, not something I would recommend. Would give it 1, but I got a good laugh after Mr. Bacon Pants, so.
Oh, man. All right, so I will say one thing: patty cake slap. Jeez, that caught me off.
Patty
guard.
cake choke.
No, this other girl. I don't know if she's like the love interest or whatever. She just belted the main character right across the face while they're playing that really oddly timed game of patty cake. That was just weird. So about 30 minutes into the game, I ran into the same Porky Pig guy that Ben did, at which point I started laughing uncontrollably. This was hysterical to me. Roommate was in the room while I was playing it. He started laughing too. It was just way too funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but pigs are food. You eat them. You don't run away from them. If this were me in the game, I would attempt to actually eat the pig, because that's what they're for. That's what Jesus put them on planet Earth for when he created the planet 6,000 years ago. And at about that point, I stopped playing because I just couldn't stop laughing. Up until that, though, I mean, I will give the game credit. They did. It feels like they really did try to make this a creepy game. So I can't fault them for that. That's really the worst thing you can do is like half-ass a game. It looks like they actually put some effort into it, and while it may not tickle my fear button, it might tickle someone else's. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about the game. It is a good attempt, but it's not 100% there yet. So 2 cheers.
Yeah, they were very obviously trying to rip off Silent Hill Shattered Memories. In fact, let's make a list of similarities between the two. Can loosely be defined in the horror genre. Check. Game starts with the main character in a car. Check. Main character goes unconscious at some point during the intro sequence. Check.
You gotta
Main
say the rest of
character
them in one breath.
wakes up and goes looking for missing people with whom they previously shared a car ride by going into the decrepit dark building. Check. Main character has no means of defense against monstrosities save for sprint function and phone with camera. Check. Game ends on a stupid sort of cliffhanger, maybe, maybe not. Check. Game would be better off not existing. Check. The horror genre is one of my favorite genres. It really is. And the mainstream video games media likes to say that the horror genre is dead, and it's games like Dreadout that really drive the nail in on that coffin. So... Also, why the fuck were they sitting on the Linux version for this game for 2 fucking months?
To fix all the bugs. Right.
It runs stupidly worse. I actually tracked down their Kickstarter demo. I started it up, and look, I can play it just fine. This thing is busted. 1 chair.
Sorry, someone in chat room posted a picture of the fucking pig. Alright, so that's 1 chair for fun. We tally all this stuff up. Alright, we get 1 chair for the final score, but I will say that's a 1 chair with an asteroid. Ven, final thoughts as we wrap up this review
Final thoughts. The game did creep me out because, Indonesian, maybe you want to say they're Asian or not. I've spent a lot of time surrounded by Asian girls.
The most frightening thing ever.
Trust me, there's that old adage of, like, no matter how hot they are, somebody somewhere's tired and sick of their shit already. That's Dr. Girlfriend, that's Lynn, and that's it. The 3 Tachikomas I deal with. So I didn't really need that as a lifestyle simulator. Like, been there, done that, have t-shirts. Can't say I had
Asian
fun with
Simulator
it.
2014.
Maybe when they get the gerbil support sorted and I can actually play the mothering game, I'll have more to say about it. Because all I could do was get up to that pig point, and I was like, that's all, folks. So, J-Bad?
Like I said, the game is a good attempt. It could have used a lot more time in the oven, and they could have actually done some significant testing under Linux.
Yeah.
Pedro?
It's not worth the $15 euros, whatever, wherever you are, it's not worth the money. Just steer clear.
So what's up next, man?
Coming up next, we have some mail of hate in a section, specially designed for hate mail, because we only like it when people blow smoke up our arse. Good time.
Oh, you mean the Blendtech
apparently.
Blender. Hey, like the show? Check us out at LinuxGameCast.com. Click on the podcast button for RSS feeds, our Wall of Shame and Donato buttons. There's also an Amazon affiliate link, because making this shit is hella expensive, yo. Speaking of which, if you like kicking us somewhat stinky, a recurring donation gets you a producer's credit at the end of the show, and a one-time donation gets you into the super ultra mega chocolatey fudge Linux Gaming Super Squad. Broke as shit. Can't steal your parents' credit cards? No problem. Spread the word on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and YouTube. And remember, kids, fuckity bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Actually, if you're a boy or a girl and you actively call yourself that, you probably shouldn't be watching LGC, but that doesn't matter because this is hate mail, and we got a lot of that this week. So, just as a quick reminder, if you'd like to get in touch with us, go on over to linuxgamecast.com, push the lovely contact button on the nav bar, fill out your name, fill out your email, give us a subject, give us your message, prove you're smarter than Vensbot, which is not that hard, and we'll be happy to feature your thing, unless, of course, you're trying to promote your crowdfunding campaign. If you are, make sure to...
Cox in the captcha.
Cox? Yeah, basically.
I just noticed that. Go Go on, Pedro.
But yeah, if you are trying to promote your crowdfunding campaign, make sure to include a demo, alpha, beta, prototype, wherever you want to call it. Include a link so we can play that, because if you don't, we not only will we not mention your thing, we will probably make fun of you. All right then, so let's get into it. Thanks for the fish, I suppose.
Oh, and thanks for all the fish. So sad that it should come to this. We tried to warn you.
This comes from Vanak Sabadium, and he says, "I'm sorry, Pedro, but I don't think that man is wrong at all." He's talking about Liam Daw. I don't talk about you personally, but it seems like LGC is the supreme and only Linux channel, and nothing and no one can say about anything you do but positive things. I always liked your videos and followed you, but I stopped making comments since every time I did, I've been insulted. LinuxGameCast channel has to learn some humility, and that's all. Now I suppose it's time for me to get burned by our comments, so do go on. Well, all things considered, we are the supreme and only Linux gaming podcast.
Well, yes. But, in all fairness, we didn't start out that way. I mean, me and J-Man. Yeah. Just like, let's do a little gaming thing. And then we got this Yahoo over here. He's like, I'll be on the show. I was like, okay, fine. But to get to your points, man, people can say whatever they want, because you got to think, at the end of the day, what are we talking to you about? It's almost as we didn't create a special section called Hate Mail, so you can say hateful things to us, and we can respond. And, you know, seriously, what I lack in humility, I definitely make up for brains and good looks.
I was going to say sex appeal, but the other thing you have to consider is this is a comedy podcast. We're going to make fun of things because it's funny to make fun of things. Up next, Kevin Farley describes a most foul predicaments. I was interested when reading a description of the next Gamecast. He says, "I was interested right up until I read the most foul mouth. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need that coming at me, giggity. I got enough of it elsewhere. Well, fuckity bye."
Aren't you a pretty little flower?
I don't know. I think Mr. Mango wrote a very, very intelligent post.
Oh, yes.
Just about winding people up. And when I was like, you know, when I first moved to the States, I was doing IT, literally working with Big I and stuff like that. I learned some of the most creative cursing in my life. And so when I hear somebody's like, I don't know, it's like, you know how I know you don't work in the fucking industry? That's why.
Because you're not dead on the inside.
Exactly.
Yep.
But 666, number of the beast.
Pick up
127 has something to say. He says, Pedro is my favorite Power Ranger because he is the only one who realizes that obscuring 66% of your face with a big-ass pop filter on a video cast is a stupid idea. Thank you for understanding what a video cast is. Okay, now, but before you go into your thing, then, I just want to say, do you want to spend an entire episode looking at this? Because that I personally view that as unpleasant. I'm not sure about you. You may find that kinky awesome. Whatever tickles your pickle, man.
Well, here's the dice. I was talking to another 14-year-old yellow swag, not you, but so you do better and all that with your YouTube channel. I was like, this is all right. I hate to break this to you. This is not a YouTube channel. We use YouTube as like third backup of our video and audio. This is an audio podcast. That's why you need to quit being so fuck-mothering jealous of our really bitching mics. And
they're pretty badass.
They're extremely badass, and you kind of got to chew them to get the good sound out of it. And that's where we make the dollar bills, yo, from the podcast, the audio version, not the YouTube channels.
Yeah, yes, all those dollar that flow to us
from our millions of adoring fans. Isn't that right, P-Man?
Honestly, I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Just saying.
I mean, look at that perfect face. I mean, he's basically the epitome of the Elephant Man.
Not even a face some mother could love.
I don't know.
I am apparently a 16th century leper.
Either that or
Amongst other things.
the Mexican of the Veil. And on that bombshell, let's cue the music. Because you can always find us live around 9:15, 9:30, 9:45, possibly 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Moontime. And get in the chat realm dynamic, scream at us, troll us back, give us some money so you can continue trolling us in a superior way. Maybe click on some of those Amazon ads or whatnot you heard earlier. That's going to be brilliant. So, at the end of the day, I'm Vin Stone. You can find me cleverly disguised at Vin Stone on the Twitter nets, plus Vin Stone on the G+. And my main man, how you doing, babe?
Yeah. I don't stick my heads in towels or holes in the sand. I am Jordan Swung. You can find me at The Burning Fool on Twitter or plus Jordan Swung on the Google+.
And we totally missed out on a tally joke.
Yeah, I know. Why did you
Not
take the
anymore.
towel off your head? Why did you take the towel off your head? You ruined the entire visual gag. You asshole. Put
Yes,
it back
I
on.
am.
I'm sick of looking at you. Tell the people.
But I'm
who-
also Pedro Matheus. You can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter with a U, remember, with a U, or plus Pedro Matheus on the Google Pluses.
And remember, kids, always bring a towel.
It's very important that you know where your towel is. Smells like mildew.
And sadness.
Not exactly.
You just leave your towels on the ground after they're wet.